Welcome to our fourth episode of The Way. I think it's our fourth, right?
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
It is.
It's a big episode for those of you who are watching live. We changed our mics so you can see our faces more if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you may find us. So we are iterating and improving and getting feedback, and hopefully the result is a better product for you.
That is correct. And we thankfully figured these things out through something we're going to talk about today, which is hiring needs. That's a little sneak peek on today's episode.
Welcome to The Way with your best era hosts, Ryan McKeen and Brittany Green. The podcast where we dive deep into the world of legal business and marketing. Each week, we'll be discussing the latest trends, strategies, and insights that are shaping the legal industry. So whether you're a lawyer, marketer, or business owner in the legal industry, this podcast is for you.
Yeah, we had our second quarterly meeting, quarterly planning meeting where we blocked the whole day. We didn't go offsite. We just did it in our office. We went through our way process to really identify where we had gone. We had done a lot last quarter.
We did. I mean, it's a good thing, but we beat all of our goals essentially and all of our KPIs. So we were excited for that.
We crushed those things by a lot, which was awesome and a huge testament to all of you out there who have supported us as we have grown and embraced us. We are so grateful for that. So we beat these goals, but yet we're facing the issue that we really see a lot of our clients face and a lot of firms we work with face. And we had to take a piece of our own medicine here.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and beginning to talk with a lot of our clients that we've worked closely with since starting this, a huge barrier for them, mindset-wise and just risk-wise, is taking that leap from going to one person to two or three. And so realizing that it's time to hire is a really hard thing to do. And, for us, especially too, starting this business, we sort of originally went into it being we don't want to grow. We don't want to, we want to keep it just the three of us, myself and Ryan. Well, and then it really was just the two of us. And then we said, let's bring Allison aboard. And then we said, that's it. We're done. We're done there. But like Ryan said, we had to take a piece of our own medicine there and realize we can't do everything in our vision that we've set for us without more help. We're just three people. We can't manage that.
I had this conversation, I think it's either with Jason Hennessy or Ryan Anderson, just both fantastic and smart people. And I said, yeah, I'm going to just have this company and it's going to be just really small. And one of them called me out, Ryan, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And, they said it's just because there's so much need in the space. There's so much opportunity, and we are sort of a very progressive, creative, get it done bunch who likes to ship things, do things, and really engage in our work. We care about this a ton. And if we are thinking small, in essence, we are limiting our impact. And why should we want to limit our impact on our clients, on our business, on our lives, and on the lives of the clients that we have, right? If we can do this and we can do it better and we can do it at scale, it is the right thing to do financially, almost morally, right. So to speak, to do that. So that's what we leaned into. So we'll talk about who we hired, how we decided to hire, but Britt, what were your takeaways from a quarterly meeting? Because at the firm, you really weren't involved in the quarterly meetings, so now you've had two of them under your belt. Mm-hmm. So what were your takeaways from this quarter meeting?
I mean, I think the most important thing is really truly understanding the importance of them for a leadership team, for a business, because you really do get bogged down in the day-to-day throughout the quarter, right? And it's so important to have that scheduled full day. It doesn't necessarily have to take the full day, depending on the size of your team. For us, it was probably about half a day with just the three of us. But even still, having that amount of time to really be able to flesh out where we've been in the past quarter and where we want to go next quarter. Continue to make sure, does it align with the goals we have? Does it align with the destination we have set? Our goals and our KPIs do they still make sense for us to track those? Is that really what we need to track? Because when you're in the day-to-day, and even those weekly leadership meetings, I mean, they're great and important, and it's nice to just have one quick thing you're solving each week, but having that full day to flesh out, collaborate on the real issues that we're dealing with, the bigger ones that take a little more time to figure out solutions for, and just making sure you're on the same page. Like it's hard to know where we're all at throughout the quarter. So to have that set time to come together as a team, to bond, to again collaborate, it's fun to be able to be part of that now.
And this came up in our Slack community. And it was like, well, we have an agenda that we follow in the way, and it's going to be in our forthcoming book, which is getting closer and closer to publication by the day. We've got 90IO software that we use that helps us move our agenda, document what we're doing. So like we have all these things. And to somebody out there who is like, well, what do I do? Or how do I have it? Like, it's a very lawyer thing, like, which is like, how do I figure this out? And that's great. And there are resources, including the way. But really, if you're out there, like, even if you just had your key people, it doesn't have to be like a fancy word like a leadership team, and you blocked a day, just block the day. You could do it on site, you can do it off site, but minimize your distractions. Put down your phones, put down your laptops, don't schedule client appointments as best as possible, and go over like the key things in your business. Like, what is happening? What are the needs? And ask yourself, like, what is it that we need to address? When? Who needs to do it? What are the opportunities? And you're going to come out so far ahead. It's almost like going to the gym. Like, if you go to the gym and do anything, it's so much better than doing nothing. Mm-hmm. And yes, ideally, like, you have a very regimented plan where you're hyper loading and then taking all this sort of stuff. But the fact that you show up and you engage and you lift weights, like, you're going to get healthier. And I think for a lot of firms, like, sometimes they don't ever set foot in the gym, or sometimes they don't set foot in the gym because they're afraid, like, they're going to use a treadmill the wrong way. Well, no, just get on the treadmill. Just do it. And, one of my big takeaways, and look, we measure things weekly, and we look at our profit and loss as a team every week. And so we have some understanding of it, but it was like, actually, I'm so forward thinking. Like, I'm so into, like, what's next? What are we going to do? What's our next thing? That it felt so good to look back. Right. And say, like, hey, we did this and we did that and we did this. And that was only 3 months ago. So spend some time really looking at what it is that you have done and sort of celebrating those things. Mm-hmm. Because when you look forward, it can sometimes produce anxiety. And we're a business that has done a ton of things. And it still, like, my reaction to everything is like, we haven't done enough.
Yeah.
and I will feel that way forever and ever and ever until I am no longer breathing, probably. But it's that thing where you're celebrating and you're identifying really key points. And so I'm going to take it sort of a little bit full circle here. One of our things that we had talked about developing, a need that we saw, was really training paralegals and case managers in the personal injury space. When we were in the firm, we had so much trouble trying to flip that switch, so to speak, and get that done because people were busy. It took time to train. Lawyers didn't necessarily know how to do paralegal's job or a case manager's job. And we would try, and it would be haphazard, and we would focus on it for a little bit. We would get a few videos and manuals, and like we built things, but it was always the thing that got pushed aside. Mm-hmm. And if you are busy, which you are, I don't know I think I asked for a show of hands at Lex Summit, like, anybody here not have enough to do? Nobody raised their hands in a room of like 250 people. But that's true with lawyers. You always have too much to do. True of paralegals, true in law firms. Just nobody sits there and has time. So that was the thing that got pushed, but it was also the biggest inhibitor to our growth because it limited our hiring pool. So it became more attractive to hire people who maybe had experience, maybe were trained elsewhere. But that didn't always work out because they weren't trained in our systems, or maybe they brought over bad habits, or maybe they weren't trained at all and don't really know what they're doing despite them being there for quite a long time. So you run into all these sorts of things, and you also tend to pay more money to people who have done the thing for a while, because essentially you're saying, I don't have to train you. But the very best bang for our buck was always hiring for attitude and then teaching skills, hiring for aptitude. Is this person a continuous learner? Are they good with clients? And then supplementing it with the skills. That was also, you could hire people at an entry level, lower pay point to help with cash flow issues. And as they grew, promoted them and paid them and did all the things that you need to do. But it limited our hiring pool. So training was a big deal. So we set out, as we built Best Era, we said, look, we want to really tackle areas that we need, that we felt like we would have benefited from. And paralegal training was one of them. So that became one of our quarterly milestones. And every week it was, on track, off track. Can we push that into next quarter? It kind of slid down as we took inventory, priorities, and we did these things. Like it just became a real big problem. We didn't get it done. So that was languishing up on our board, and it's a really good idea. It's a very big need. We think it's an impact. We think we are the right people to lead this, but we weren't getting to it.
Yeah, didn't have the time. We didn't have the resources, truthfully. I mean, we had, we were getting so busy ourselves with in-house clients or remote clients, that we were spending a lot of time with, that were taking up our time. And so we just didn't have the manpower to sit down and film a whole course and edit it and put it out and everything. So, right, we had to sit down at this quarterly meeting and really figure out, okay, this is an opportunity we're not going to let pass us by, but how do we get this to actually happen?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if we were doing consulting, we'd be like, yeah, launch that thing because it's going to make you money. Yeah. Like every day that product's not launched, it's costing you money. You've identified the need. You have some idea as to what this looks like. You have a marketing base that can support and fuel sales, you think, or that's a safe bet, I think, for us here. But you're not doing that thing. And yeah, it became, I think, like so many things in a business, it's a question of priorities. So we had to prioritize, for example, we've spent a lot of time developing the way, some card decks, we've spent a lot of time developing a lot of things. We spent a lot of time working with law firms because we needed to make money, building things like the studio that we're in. All of this took a ton of time and resource. And so we didn't prioritize that project. And also, I really do think like we weren't the right people. You did not practice law or deliver legal services. I had last served as a paralegal when I was like a solo doing that work by myself, but I have long since not done that. Allison the same way. So it was like, well, we're also maybe not the best people, though we definitely have knowledge and insight into this process. Like we have lived it, we have done it, we have delivered it for hundreds and hundreds of clients. Like we get this. But it was really when we said like, well, what would we tell a firm that we were working with? We would say, hire somebody.
Right. Yeah. And right. We have plenty of materials and things, as you said, of how, you had your paralegals do things, but right. It's all from the employer perspective, right? Point of view. But yeah, when we really sat down and thought about it, we thought, well, but we always had other paralegals train other paralegals, yep. Right? I mean, they're the ones that are actually doing it day to day. And yeah, they'll use the materials and things like that. But realistically, a paralegal is the right person to train other paralegals. And when we finally realized that was going to be the solution, and then it really was fortuitous, we had the perfect opportunity at that point to meet back up with one of our old paralegals that was star at training others. I mean, it was so obvious she loved to do it. She was meticulous with note-taking, that she has manual upon manual that she's built herself essentially. And it's just something that we could tell she had a natural instinct for teaching and for guiding others as well. So when we saw that opportunity that she was available and interested to take this on, we, again, at that quarterly meeting, this is probably the quickest and easiest issue that we solved with each other, because it was a pretty much definite, immediate, yes, we've got to hire this person.
Yeah, and that brings us to a point, which is like, we also aren't a big team. We'll talk about our fourth person that we have, but it's really the three of us who have been doing all these things. And so even taking the time to write a job ad and sift through resumes and vet people and understand where their actual training is, what their interests are, who they are, whether or not they're going to be a cultural fit for us. Like that's very time and resource consuming. So we did one of the things that I think is smart. We didn't hire, certainly not like friends or family, but it was really like we hired somebody who was in network, who was known to us, who was familiar to us, and we approached them. Like we went out and said, hey, we have this idea. Are you interested in working with us? Mm-hmm. So I think if you're a small business, you're a small firm, even if you're much larger, like you've got to go out, identify the people to fill those needs, and you have to go out and recruit them.
Yeah, I think we've seen it time and time again. It was the same for us in the firm. 9 times out of 10, when we were looking to hire a new person, that person ended up coming to us right through some sort of network, a friend of a friend, whatever. Of course, we were on Indeed, we were on LinkedIn, and we were getting applications through their resumes. We were doing interviews through there, but yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's through the network. And, there's several factors, right? If someone's willing to sort of essentially refer a friend or an acquaintance or colleague, it's pretty obvious that they're likely to be a stand-up person, because no one wants to be that person that referred someone that didn't work out. And yeah, so there's just that personal connection that happens right away, and you feel a little bit more buy-in from them.
Yeah, a lot of buy-in, and it's a very quick interview. It's like, hey,
right.
Can you start next Monday?
Right.
So like, don't, as you're working in a small business, always think about in-network people you used to work with. Just always be minding those people and really look for the right person for the role. And once you've established a role and opportunity. So I'm so excited that we're going to be able to offer this and build this up next quarter and really have a strong Q1 2025 push as we unveil this, and hopefully help a lot of people out there in the industry. And in addition to doing this kind of work, this person is going to help us fill some roles internally that we need some help in, some admin roles that we are currently doing, which also frees up our time to do some things. And, one of the other things that we were like, well, when part of our paralegal training, like so much of what we're going to do is going to be content based, where we're going to have different levels of things, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to table that, but we're going to have different levels of things, and we're going to offer different access points for those things. So it's not going to always be us training specifically, because that's time intensive, resource intensive, may involve significant travel. But if it's necessary, then there's a price point for that. And generally speaking, our goal is to help 12,500 people in the next 5 years. We're not going to be on planes every day of the week trying to hit that number. So we needed somebody to help with content.
Right. And again, through our network, we knew of an old VA that we had that used to help us with content creation. She's an amazing person lives in Mexico, based out of there. She has a degree background in digital editing. So she was, again, sort of an instant when we identified the need of, yes, I used to do our marketing and a lot of our content creation at the old firm, but that was when my whole role, right, was doing that, versus now I can't. It's a lot harder to market our consulting firm and also consult for other people. Our time is limited, obviously, and our goal, when we set out for this, certainly wasn't to just spend all of our time overworking ourselves to spend time with clients, and we wanted to make our lives easier. Yeah.
We didn't want to create 80-hour a week
Right.
jobs for ourselves.
Yeah.
That was not the goal of it. And it would also, if we did that, it would just limit our impact.
Exactly. We have a capacity. Yeah.
We want to have a big impact. We want to figure out how to do it. We don't want to have a 100-person consulting firm.
Right.
So we had to figure that out. And so we were really able to buy back a lot of time. Also put together, frankly, a better product than we could put together. No offense, Brittany, you do a phenomenal job.
Trust me. The most recent episode that should be obviously out by the time you're watching this one, Pam, our new VA that's helping with that, you can certainly see that she has better editing skills than I do. No offense taken, that is not my background. It was a learned skill that had to come along. So no, I am more than happy to be able to say that we found someone who's better at something than I am, and giving her that job has been huge, and it's just going to continue to get better for us the more and more we can add to her plate in those areas, because being able to essentially have things running in the background now is a blessing and is really the only way you can start growing.
Yep, absolutely. And Pam started as my executive assistant, so she has experience like wrangling me. So that is also a useful thing as she settles into her role here. So it's going to allow us to help a lot more people. So again, like, we made investments in our business, but we're doing it very purposefully. We're understanding what the needs are, and we're making like very smart bets. But still, look, I probably, at one point I counted, I think I have hired like close to 70 people or thereabouts, like some number 60, 70. I'm bad at estimating these things, but it's more than 50. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And every single person I ever hired, no matter how big we got, it always felt like some giant leap. And even here, like, where it's like, well, we're small, our revenues are strong, but still it just feels like, oh my gosh, we're adding more to the expenses, more. But it's like, no, that is the way to actually have impact, grow, have the life that we want, do the things that we want, and also create opportunity for others. Like, these are good jobs. We pay people well, we treat them well, and it's win-win-win. We win, you all win, they win, and it's smart, and it's very strategic and purposeful. But, we also did something at this meeting that I think is worth talking about. We agreed to hire a coach.
Yes. Okay. I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about that or not, because yes, I thought that was huge for us as well. And yet another, essentially taking a piece of our own medicine, right? We both realized that we'd be hypocrites to think that coaches don't need coaches. And yeah, that was another super easy decision to make when we realized, we haven't ever really been on the sales side of a business like this, right? Yes, when you're signing leads, there's some nuance to sort of a sales tactic, right? But it's certainly not the same, right? And it's not like lawyers can technically go out soliciting clients, right? So the sales funnels are not the same. The advertising of it is not the same. And so this is all new territory for us. And we know the basics. We've read books, right? We've listened to podcasts. We follow people in this space, leaders in this space that are amazing sales people. But, there's still that missing piece to click it all together. And I think hiring this coach is what's going to be that missing piece for us.
I agree completely. And to bring things like sort of full circle, one of the very first coaches I hired was Stephanie Everett from Lawyerist, and Stephanie then hired me to coach. Mm-hmm. And then I coached some lawyers, and I was like, no, you should make this big change in your firm. Anyhow, they did it, and it worked out. My recommendations don't always work out. I make suggestions, you make decisions, kind of thing. But it really worked out with them, and this led them down the road of really building and monetizing an educational platform, and through their work and through their visibility. And so they were the ones who said, hey, Ryan, this person will save you he'll make you millions of dollars, because he's going to save you so much time in trying to figure it out. And look, when we started trying to figure out our subscription tiers and offerings and everything else, like, we looked at people we admired in the space. We tried to figure out the pricing. We tried to back out the numbers. But yeah, there's still that sort of leap. And yeah, we read, the Hermoses and Brunsons and all of these people, but there's still like well, okay, how do I apply that to me? What is the decision here? And so I think us hiring a coach is also going to just help us. So we did the things that I think are just so critical for any business is we asked ourselves who and not how. We found the people that were right, both in all three instances, with paralegal training, video production, and coaching. We got, I think, the best people that I know of for those various things. And that's what's going to help us hit our goal of 12,500. That's what's going to help us blow our revenue goals out of the water. And it's what's going to help us, most importantly, deliver a really quality product to whatever it is we're doing, whether it's consulting, coaching, teaching, community events, in-person events, whatever it is that we're doing, we're going to be able to have the space to focus and to deliver value.
Yeah. What would you say, this is something we've realized with almost all of our clients that we usually have, I think every single one of our clients, we've identified sort of a need for them to hire. And of course, basically all of them immediately freak out when we suggest this because all they're thinking is dollar signs. So what do we say to, those people to sort of convince them of making that shift?
The first thing is like I hear a lot of like barriers in the space. And look, the very big reality is that when you are an employee or an employer, everybody is day to day. We could talk about teams and families and and we love each other and it's successful. But the reality is that every day you as an employee choose to work here, or you as an employer choose to employ the employee, and it's an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. Like that is the transaction. So sometimes like lawyers think like I need like a year saved up before I hire somebody. And I've always felt like you don't need close to a year. Probably like if you had like 2 months of payroll saved up for this person, like that's a good faith basis to believe that it can work. Like you obviously, like we never wanted to hire somebody and have it not work out. We certainly didn't want somebody to quit their good job and join us and have it not work out. Like and we tried to take steps to prevent that. But if you can sit there and you can say, look, I see about 2 months out, I can pay this person for 8 weeks. The faster you can train them and get them up to speed, the faster they're going to make you money, and that's going to catch. And not only in 8 weeks are you not going to be down money, you're going to be up money. So, really creating those environments. So I think it's more like 8 weeks of cash. You don't need a ton. You do need to be efficient. You do need to have vision. You do need to have a defined role. So you're pointing them like, look, if you just hire somebody, you're like, hey, I need help. And you come in and you're running off to court and you're doing all these things and they're sitting at your desk twiddling their thumbs, they're not making you money. But if you have systems and training and you're investing in these things, like if you're doing it halfway right, then you're going to be able to make money. So I think it's really one of these things. And I grew up middle class. I grew up in Enfield, Connecticut, probably like an exemplary middle class community, right? But the mindset there was always like, you never hired somebody to cut your lawn. You did it because $1 spent was $1 less. And in some ways it was like looked down on. Oh, you have a housekeeper, you're snotty or whatever. And so that sort of mindset gets put out there to a lot of lawyers, and fine, it serves them well when you are living paycheck to paycheck, and yeah, you're saving money by mowing your lawn instead of sitting on the couch, no doubt. But when you're running a business, what you realize is that the wealthiest people in this whole entire game, what they do is they trade money for time, not time for money.
Right.
And so when you're like, have enough money, adopt that mindset of I'm going to trade it for some time. And look, like we're hiring people to do things that we couldn't get to or do them better. And it's not like we're going to go golfing all day.
Right.
Like, yeah, if you're on the golf course all day, no, it's like, I'm going to work harder. I've got these other projects to do. I've got to do this podcast even that I think is valuable to our business. And I'm going to have time to do it. And that's where you're raising both the top and bottom lines of your business.
Exactly. I mean, I think already we only had basically our first consult call with our coach. So we're excited to fully get underway. But even in that first call, the mindset shift he was able to give us, which was, yes, we are a consultancy and just in the general keyword sense of it, right, for SEO and whatnot. But he really was spot on and it goes right in line with our vision, our destination, that yes, we want to work with, clients one-on-one and things like that, right? But what we really want to be is a training company who does consulting, which is what he said we should shift into calling ourselves that, which is absolutely true. It was the same when, at the firm, right? We called ourselves a business that did law, that gave law as a service to people. But so having that shift is really vital because, right, we were getting so bogged down in just doing consulting with people that all of our time was being eaten up by that. So we weren't being able to produce more for us to be able to grow. But shifting this mindset allows us to understand the real purpose, the real why of why we want to do these courses and things like that. It's not right. It's not so we can do it once and then sell it and then go golf. It's so that we can, put it up, find more people that we can train out there by having them watch that, and then be able to help the select people that need even more from us, consult with them. When he gave us that piece of advice, I knew already that hands down we were going to work with him. He was going to help us make us money, free up our time to produce more, and just be way more successful.
I agree, because really none of us are inexperienced business owners or inexperienced at working in a business or doing what we're doing. We would have figured it out.
Right.
Like we would have, but
right.
It would have taken us months, years.
Yeah.
And so to be in really in a business, this is something that I think most law firm owners underestimate. Like speed to doing something is the difference between profiting and losing. And so every month you're not launching the thing or closing the case, like it is costing you money. Like there is a cost to that. So the speed at which we can fine tune our offerings, it changes our trajectory, like entirely of our business. Super, super excited about that. We've gone long here, but there's one more thing I'm super excited about that got launched this week that was a big project for me last quarter, which is I was working with Brett Tremblay and his amazing team at Get Staffed Up. And we launched Virtual Case Managers, which is a virtual, like overseas. They have VAs from Mexico and South America, Central America, I think South Africa. Apologies if I'm wrong on that, but it's definitely south of the U.S. and I think South Africa. You can check the website. We'll put it in the links wherever it is. And so one of the things that we realized in the firm when we used Get Staffed Up was that some of our really most productive and some of our most talented employees were international. Like they were through Get Staffed Up. We had some amazing people who ended up coming up from Mexico to see us. And it was such a gift to our culture and our firm, and recognizing what the talent that we were getting from Get Staffed Up. Brett approached me and said, look, we're thinking about doing something in the personal injury space. And I said, well, case managers are always a tough position to sort of hire. And sometimes caseloads go way up and you don't know, or somebody gets sick, or there's a parental leave that gets taken. So the idea that you could have somebody who has some training and be overseas was so attractive. Like that's something that I wanted. And so I spent a lot of time helping Get Staffed Up identify the right people or the right skills that I would want in a case manager, identifying training, creating training for the virtual assistants, giving feedback. And actually I do ongoing training on Fridays with them right now to help make sure that their transition to the law firm is a smooth one. So that's another thing. So if you're thinking about delegating, you want trained people, that's a problem. Go check out Brett and Get Staffed Up. Let him know that I sent you, because I think it's a fantastic program. And if you have any feedback, by all means, let me know, because like it's a new thing. They have placed thousands of people in jobs, but this is a new vertical. They've spent a ton of time. It's been actually fun too. Like I've been on their leadership team regarding this.
Oh, that's fun. So
I have their weekly, quarterly meetings. So it's been fun to be involved with them and just a great group over there that it's been a joy to work with.
That's exciting. It's exciting.
So How do we close these things, Brittany?
Well, we keep going over time that we say we're going to do. And then we're like, well, we should probably stop talking because they're probably bored of us now. So we haven't really ended it like we usually do in a while. We'd started out saying like, oh, what's something you've been reading, watching, listening to? So I don't know. Do you have anything you've been?
Yeah. I have been listening a lot to Wu-Tang Clan.
That's what I figured. I was going to ask.
I was teaching. I'm wearing a shirt for those out there in audio land that says "Cash rules everything around me." I just taught a law firm finance class in my legal entrepreneurship class at UConn. We had Erin Levine from Hello Divorce come in to talk about her business model, which was such a treat for me and the law students. So I've been on a Wu-Tang click. How about you?
Well, so I did just get back from Nashville. It was my first time visiting family. Cousin lives out there. He's living the dream as a musician out there. And so I've also been listening to music, clearly a different genre than Wu-Tang. The favorite part was got to see a show at the Bluebird Cafe. I'm also wearing that shirt today as well. So I created a Spotify playlist actually when I got back of all the artists that played at the show. Is 6 sort of up and coming artists, all sang originals, and thankfully because of how the world works, everyone's on Spotify now. So I was able to find them on there and added them on there. So it's been fun. It was a very cool experience, mostly as a Swiftie, to be able to see the picture on the wall of Taylor when she was 14 and when she was discovered there. So checked a bucket list item off.
I am not a Spotify person. I am an Apple Music person.
Generational.
I think it is definitely generational.
Millennial, Gen X, yeah.
But also, my children are Apple Music people.
Well, that's because you pay for the subscription.
That's right. No, but like they're all of their kids like it. I think Spotify is definitely like a millennial thing. But fine.
I'm sure they're on Apple Music too. I just,
could you share your playlist?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll share. I'll definitely drop it in there. You'll get a nice album picture of me at the Bluebird. So, but no, I mean, I would absolutely recommend all of these artists. They were amazing live. I mean, if they don't go far, I'd be shocked. They were so cool. And it was a mix too. It wasn't just country. There was some indie pop, some sort of all over the board. So definitely we'll drop that in the show notes. It was really fun. And follow them all on like Instagram and stuff. I think, these are people that are obviously making a living this way. So any support you can give them is great.
Awesome. Well, cool. Until next time. And I'm an HDMI cable away from sitting in this room tomorrow and really starting our Way Foundations course, which is one of our
plan.
Our rocks.
Plan. We're going to stay on track this quarter with those.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Way with Best Era. Be sure to visit our website, bestera.io. From there, get more resources, insights, and to connect with us directly. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. That way you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep striving for your version of success.